You should be terrified. It's terrifying. When I did that the first time in February around General Dynamics, you hear a little bit of the reference points that were at work then, including ones that go back nearly 20 years, maybe more than 20 years. Well, lo and behold, 10 years later, there's another reference point when I revisit this more recently, just within the last 72 hours. What did I find? Several reports from 2007 regarding chemical weapons and chemical weapons disposal provided by the United States government. You know what this means to me? This means that when the Democrats and the Republicans were gearing up to run for Congress or to run for the presidency in 2008, they already knew about that report. They already knew about the appropriations that had been made potentially up to 10 years previously to commission that report. They also knew about the status of the Memorandum of Understanding the United States had with the former Soviet Union, specifically with Russia, but not exclusively with Russia. And they also knew that on their table at that time and pending before them as part of their official duties as members of the Senate and Congress were appropriations that later got passed into law for the 2009 appropriations budget, which also included appropriations for the Department of Defense specifically and how to handle chemical weapons, as well as how to address matters related to chemical warfare in consideration of counter narcotics trafficking under the Department of Defense. If you made an agreement either during the campaign or after the campaign of 2008 to avail yourself of some sort of a civil action in order to be restituted for what was revealed as part of somebody's campaign promise, and then to just strategically cut out and allow for a reprogramming of someone that did not agree to cooperate with organized crime as part of a DOD contract kickback scam, then be apprised, unfortunately, it's come back up again. Why? Because in the meantime, after that reprogramming to the Department of State, what occurred? Among other things, there were two allegedly independent third-party audits that the Department of State alleged it was seeking to determine whether or not the Department of State had been compliant with laws regarding counter trafficking, human smuggling, known to be connected to trafficking in weapons. Two, both of which were provided by and sponsored by an official interest from the nation of Norway. What did we just have? In the meantime of a alleged buildup, a military escalation on the Russia-Ukraine border that also impacted other areas around that part of the world, the United States military was announcing and codifying the establishment of two military bases in Norway. There was not one effort anywhere in the world to call this out, especially not call it out comparable to the way it was connected to patterns of human trafficking that had specifically been called out by Norway at least twice in the previous 3 years. You know what this tells me? That they agreed and conspired to create some sort of leverage that when the correct political paradigm was put into place, then you would be okay with trafficking certain kinds and certain groups of people with an understanding that other groups of people would be availed of the advantages that had previously been positioned to be availed of the advantages. If you agreed 10 years ago that you would just bide your time for 10 years and allow for somebody you used to know or groups of people you used to know to be trafficked so they could be reverse engineered, and then 10 years later, you could be the beneficiary of the merits of the re-engineered paradigm, I'm letting you know that there's a great and substantial portion of the world that was specifically witness to that very fact. And it is not going down like that. I contacted the people I needed to contact last year. They had no right to sit on what they needed to do last year so that they could flip it and try to revisit it this year under a different presidential administration and a different party paradigm. And that's exactly what they did. It appears now that there is substantial proof that that's also exactly what they did in 2008. Now, I'm not a libertarian. I don't like libertarians. But I would never cooperate with the Republican Party trafficking libertarians as part of their party agenda. Regardless of whether you are a Democrat or not, if you agreed to co-conspire to traffic members of the Green Party to advantage the Democrats, then your reckoning is due now. You don't get a non-disclose or confidentiality agreement on actually trafficking political leadership because you intended to avail yourselves of the advantages of a fraudulent bid rigging scam connected to the Department of Defense, even if you launder it through the Health and Human Services. And unfortunately, we have 10 years of evidence that's exactly what happened in the Ukraine and in the disputed territories that are attempted for identification as the Ukraine right now. You made a very bad decision when you agreed to back that paradigm. Because that Nordic stuff that you laundered after you flipped some Jewish stuff started out as Irish. You're not getting away with it.